Hello, welcome to the Student Council for a quick cold open to address two quick things. First of all is I love it when a goofy idea can turn into a text message, can turn into a podcast recording, can turn into an episode in about a week's time, and that's exactly what this episode was. I had just been having so much Side Biscuit this year at college. I discovered it at the end of freshman year and ran this year into college with too many DoorDash orders for Side Biscuit. But one day I was like, I wonder if I could talk to the person behind this. And then I found Jordan and I quickly found his story and I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. And in a short span of time, I sent him a text and I was like, do you want to come on my little student podcast? And he's like, absolutely. And I was like, sick. So in a few days we recorded and then now you are getting to listen to this episode. That was just such a joy to talk to. It was so cool to talk to Jordan, hear his POV on Ann Arbor, hear about the history of Side Biscuits as somebody who really has an affinity for food and cooking and restaurants. It was just such a great time. If you're listening to this, Jordan, thank you again for everything. If you're not Jordan, keep listening because it's such a great episode. Be Real just hit. I'm gonna take it right now. Actually, this wasn't the thing, but this is spontaneous, spur of the moment. I'm excited. Come on, post. Okay. And it is posted. That was fun. That was very fun. Yeah. I thought this would be a no-take edit, but it's gonna be a take. The second thing is that for the first 4 minutes, might not even be 4 minutes, might be a minute, TBH, of the episode, I forgot to hit the phantom power button on my microphone. So this wonderful mic that you're hearing did not work. So the first minute of my voice is gonna be on the Zoom, then it's gonna go right back into this nice microphone. So don't worry, it'll get there soon enough. Just wanted to let you know, so if you're caught off guard by how I sound, it changes very quickly. That's all from me though. Enjoy the episode. If you're ever in Ann Arbor, seriously go get Side Biscuit. They're linked in my description down below, both the website and them on DoorDash. So if you're in the dorms, I just have to plug it. It truly is one of just the best wings I've ever had. Just a delight. Absolute delight. Anyways, on with the show. Hello and welcome to the Student Council, an educational advice podcast made for students and by students, where everyone is qualified to talk about their own experiences. My name is Coda Dvorak. Today, I'm literally so excited to be joined by the founder of, I feel like, a modern Ann Arbor staple, the Side Biscuit. Please welcome to the podcast, Jordan Balduf. Jordan, thank you for coming on today. How are you doing?
Doing well. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well as well. Thank you so much for coming on. I cannot wait to talk. I have been just an avid fan and, supporter of the Side Biscuit. I tell as many people as I can about it. But I truly think it's one of the best food I feel like I've had in Ann Arbor. So I can't wait to talk.
It means a lot. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're a fun little hidden gem. Got to get a little more campus presence.
Yeah, it is. I it was a hidden gem. I remember I discovered you guys I think I was either down by Yoast, going to a hockey game. I'm like, oh, this seems like a neat spot to try. And then was just utterly blown away by what you had. So yeah, awesome. Well, Jordan, what have been your favorite 5 minutes of the past week to kick us off?
Ooh, 5 minutes. I think I really enjoyed this week's. So every week at the restaurant we do a different wing sauce and wing flavor, and biscuit flavor, like a theme, and we embraced fall this week and went full PSL pumpkin theme, and I had a really fun time doing my photo shoot this week with the whole fall vibe. So we're doing a pumpkin seed, pumpkin romesco wing sauce, kind of Spanish themed, with candied pepitas on top, and then the biscuit is a pumpkin pie biscuit with pumpkin spice butter. But Argus next door is a 7 days a week farmer's stop, if you will, and they 1,000 heirloom pumpkin varietals outside. So I went and snapped some pics. That was a lot of fun this week.
That's awesome. I tried the pumpkin biscuit last night and I have to say it was absolutely delightful. It's I love ordering the biscuits and I never know what flavor they're actually going to be during the week. So it's such a fun surprise, but that was so delightful to bite into that. I'm it's pumpkin flavored. So cool.
Embracing the fall.
You've got to do it, if you can't beat them, join them.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Jordan, I'm curious, what was your college experience? And could you have anticipated that you'd be opening the Side Biscuit when you were just a freshman in college?
So I actually had 5 separate college experiences. Starting, I went to high school. So I was born and raised in Buffalo, went to high school in Kalamazoo. So I took a bunch of classes junior and senior year at Western. So I got some college credit while I was in high school. After that, I got into Kalamazoo College right there in town on a full ride for chemistry. I was between that or waiting on my Michigan wait list or spending my entire year paying back student loans at Cornell, which I got into Cornell's hospitality program. So decided with the free full ride college experience, started there, ended up transferring out to Eastern, right next door to us here in Ypsi, right next to Ann Arbor, and finishing in business. So, started in chemistry, wanted to do like food science. I was always in like hospitality. So the Cornell, Cornell route would have been great too, but it's full circle now. Studying business, I'm applying everything I learned in school to my own business.
I think that's so cool. It's so interesting to hear the chemistry twist, which I was like, I'm surprised, but I also see it a little bit. I see it in the like the sauces and playing with flavors and like how that all kind of can tie into like hospitality.
I mean, I grew up loving Alton Brown, Good Eats. He's like, kind of like always talked about the science behind food. So, food is chemistry, cooking is chemistry. You're changing compounds and everything, and you're working with a recipe, if you will. So they always kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, it's been fun to kind of tie it all together.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I love Alton Brown. I haven't seen as nearly as much of Good Eats, but like anytime he was on Food Network, I was just captivated. Like I love his presence on that show and like on that channel.
Yeah, he's great. He's actually was banned from our hometown because he said, if you want good wings, buffalo wings, the last place you get them is Buffalo, New York. And we took offense to that.
Yeah.
But he has since came back and made amends and went around with the mayor to all the wing spots. And he's like, okay, I eat my words. It is the best place for wings.
Good. You proved him wrong. I'm so glad.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like kind of what was your experience like going to a bunch of different colleges, like, or a couple different schools and kind of being interested in a variety of them? Like, what did you really notice was like distinctive and kind of what led you to like going to Eastern and like prompting that switch to Eastern? Like, what was just kind of the general cultures of those schools?
So Kalamazoo College, for most that don't know, is a pretty small liberal arts school right downtown Kalamazoo. When I was there, I want to say the student body was only like 1,400. So like the size of, a large high school.
Mm-hmm.
So very tight knit, a lot of one-on-one time with professors and office hours. You're actually getting that hands-on experience, small class sizes, definitely that more intimate, kind of college experience versus like Michigan, where you have like large lecture halls and intro courses like weeder courses and gen ed courses where you're kind of just a number in the room. So K College is definitely like that more intimate feel, which is great. Academically super challenging. I had to keep up a 3.5 for my full ride, so that was tough while also working. And then I was in Ann Arbor a lot. I was dating someone who lived and went to Michigan, so it was a little tough to balance both. But I ended up transferring to Eastern, which is a larger school, but less of that college experience. Eastern is kind of a commuter school. There is like on campus living and dorms and Greek life, but not to an extent of a production like Michigan. So I actually lived in Ann Arbor through my whole Eastern career, commuted into school, and I kind of like piggybacked onto the U of M college experience. So going to the big house and working in Ann Arbor and kind of making friends in the Ann Arbor community, because that was a little more of my kind of like draw, was that college experience. But I got to have a little more affordable education while still experiencing the big house and the U of M experience. But yeah, I mean, each experience is great. The small tight-knit liberal arts kind of high school feel had its benefits, but also having a little space and freedom has also been cool. So I'm glad I got to experience kind of both.
Yeah, I think it is cool that you to see kind of all those different styles and get to like have a little taste of each of them. And even like going to Eastern but getting the Ann Arbor community, I think that's a really cool blend to like get to share both of those worlds.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I'm curious too, like kind of studying business at Eastern and like going into this restaurant, you kind of talked about it earlier, but like where do you really see like the intersection between like business and food, and what does that look like to you?
So, I've always loved cooking, grew up cooking at home. My family would, a lot of our entertainment budget was spent like going to nice restaurants and stuff like that. So really always enjoyed like hospitality and just like being around food and like the communal aspect of it. So my jobs have always been in food. My mom's good friend had a pizza and wing spot not too far from the food that we're serving at the restaurant today, but back in Buffalo called Nino's. And when I was 14, I started working there and getting my hands dirty and like in the trenches with the food that I grew up experiencing and loving. And I just fell in love with like the fast paced atmosphere, the heat of the kitchen. And I always knew someday I'd want my own space, my own restaurant. Studying business at Eastern helped a lot to kind of gain a better understanding and scope of what is expected and needed. There's a lot more than just making chicken wings when you run a business, so that's the fun creative side. But having knowledge on the whole back end and learning how to do P&Ls and costing and all the fun stuff you learn at school. It's awesome to see my degree kind of come into play when I least expected it.
Absolutely. And I think I'll just jump into that. Like, when you least expected it, like the Side Biscuit, in a time in 2020 when there were so many, like, I feel like the story that you heard, the narrative in 2020 was like these restaurants couldn't sustain themselves, and like a lot of really, really sad stories to hear about that. At that same time, you were starting the Side Biscuit out of your driveway. Like, how did that come to be? When did that idea strike you? When did you know, like, this is the moment where I can start doing this?
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting how it all kind of came to be. So peak lockdown was that April, March. All that hit. I had to lay off all my staff. I was the executive chef at a brewery here in town called Holmes. And we had to change everything, like no customers dining in, shift our whole food program to go, beer to go, can releases. It was really difficult, not knowing what the immediate future would be. Ended up parting ways with that employer during, early shutdown days, and kind of like thinking about my next steps and chapter. And I'm not much of a homebody, or I don't like to sit still. So, I was like, I'm not just going to sit here and collect unemployment and wait for the world to open back up. Like, I wanted to continue to feed people and feed the community. So just one night, I just created an Instagram for Side Biscuit. More on the name later. But I wanted I saw a lot of people all over the world, like Instagram accounts and like chefs that I follow, coming up with creative ways and solutions to continue to safely feed people during peak shutdown. And I saw a lot of really unique pop-ups. So, kind of like the middle ground between a food truck and a brick and mortar restaurant is this pop-up model where, unconventional space, unique environment, enable a way to be able to feed the community during these unpredictable times. So I started an Instagram account. Actually a lot of the raw students were some of our original customers, but basically on Sunday we would send out a post that said what our flavor was of the week, and we would do Instagram pre-orders for pickup on Wednesday. It gained so much traction and popularity that we ended up selling, I think towards the end, we did a 12-week run of this. We ended up doing, it was like 127 orders in 13 minutes.
No way.
Which is like on pre-order. So like people wait until 8 p.m. and then just DM, and I'd have to go in order until we ran out of food or like what we could, keep up with. So it was a fun, like, kind of if you're in the club, like Side Biscuit. And then, it started on my home driveway. We're connected to like an Ann Arbor City Park. So it was like a safe place for people to drive in, come pick it up, contactless pickup. We're all masked up, following health safety protocols. But we were deep frying chicken wings out of like tailgate turkey burners at my house, and selling food. May or may not have been the most legal thing, but all my food was prepped in like my friends' commissary kitchens that were being underutilized. All my food vendors were like, hey, there's no bars and restaurants open, so wings are really affordable right now, like help me out. So it was a really kind of like everything kind of came to a head in like this beautiful way where like I technically lost my job, but then I created my future at the same time. So it's been a really awesome experience.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of describing it. And that's such a cool idea. And like 12 weeks of a pop-up when you're with that many orders, with that much. I'm just curious, like, how did you keep that momentum going?
So it was just fun to see it like grow week to week. So like we did like a test one with just like other chefs in town just to see if they had any feedback. And then it just kept growing from there and getting more and more exciting and figuring out ways to scale the operation a little bit. We did, I think it was like a 4 hour service. It was like pick up from 5 to 9 or something like that. And we just kept ordering more and more product and, using friends' kitchens that were underutilized and just keep that going. But yeah, after 12 weeks, we kind of hit our limit where we can't really get any bigger than this. So that's when we found a brick and mortar space. Because I think, yeah, the last week we did 12 cases of wings. Each case of wings is like 220 wings or so, 40 pounds a case. So out of a home takeaway, we went through a lot of food.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was back then it was 10 wings, a side, a biscuit, and a dessert. That was like we called it the driveway plate. So that's how the restaurant, we have the 6 wings and the biscuit. That's our driveway plate too.
Yeah, that's my go-to is just a nice driveway plate. It's perfect. It's like the perfect like amount of food for a nice little like meal. Absolutely delightful. So I'm curious though, like what was the inspiration for Side Biscuit, and I guess why wings plus biscuits?
Cool. So I mean, born and raised in Buffalo, New York. I grew up like chicken wings are probably the first food I ever ate once I got teeth. It's just part of the
Mm-hmm.
culture. Like you're watching the Bills game, pizza and wings, always a thing back home. So I always love wings. And whenever I would travel, and especially when I moved to Ann Arbor, I didn't love the wing offerings per se. I know Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti area are, in terms of that category of pizza and wings, are most known for the global chains that came out of this area. Little Caesars. Who else is from over here? I know Little Caesars started in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Not Papa John's, but there's a couple. Oh, Domino's, duh. Yeah, Domino's
Yeah.
as well. So I was never pleased with the chicken wing offerings here. So whenever I was a chef at restaurants in town, I always had wings on the menu, just because I couldn't find it for myself, so I had to make it. And I got like a little bit of claim to fame from like an M Live article back in 2012 when I was the sole executive chef at this little cocktail bar right near the farmers market in Carytown called 327 Braun Court. So the owner of the bar was from upstate New York, kind of Syracuse area. I was from Buffalo, and then our head bartender was from Long Island. So we had this like little New York kind of vibe at this bar with like craft cocktails and scratch made food. I was the only person ordering the food, prepping the food, running the food, doing the dishes. It was this tiny little kitchen, and I didn't have a deep fryer, so I actually cooked on like a stovetop pot, like deep frying in like a soup pot. But yeah, M Live was doing like best wings in the state, and we got #1 in Ann Arbor, #2 in the state behind Sweetwater Tavern in Detroit. So I've always kind of had wings on menus. When I was the chef at Holmes, I ran a bunch of different like Southeast Asian flavored wings. When I was in New York City, I staged at a Michelin starred spot called Pok Pok, but they were famous for these like fish sauce caramel wings. And if I couldn't find good wings, I made them myself. And then COVID hit, I found this gap in the market. With carry out becoming more of a necessity during shutdown, and ghost kitchens and stuff like that popping up. Wings were a little bit of a saturated market, but I feel like we definitely stand out with like our, scratch made sauces, our, culinary approach towards everything. We're like really passionate about like experiencing different flavors and cuisines. And I just thought, take a risk and see if I can scale the concept all the way up. And I was like, I can't just do wings. Down south, they do Southern fried chicken with biscuits, but I've never seen a wing spot with biscuits. So I kind of put the two and two together. And yeah, that's how Side Biscuit came to be. Wings with biscuits on the side.
That's beautiful. It's such a fun origin story. And I was gonna ask, honestly, I was like, had you been the wing guy before Side Biscuit? And I think that answer is absolutely yes. Like that's cool that's been your claim to fame, and you've really gotten to take your Buffalo heritage, bring it to Ann Arbor, and really continue to expand on that and to grow with it. That's really, really impressive. I'm curious, kind of running back to just like being a business in Ann Arbor. I'm really curious, like, what's your takeaway of the area, of maybe the U of M student population, seeing it from a different POV than like a student or somebody in the college itself, but like what do you make of us?
So it's really interesting to be establishing roots here in this town. So Ann Arbor's, always on these lists of like, best place to raise a family and like, great work-life balance and, overall city happiness and income and all these lists where it's just this great city. And, having the university here just makes it that much more exciting and bustling and better. I think having a student population that's so transient kind of keeps keeps Ann Arbor young and on its toes, and on with staying up with trends like culinarily and stuff like that. So I like that the city's always changing. There's always something new and like something unique going on. There's tons of arts, great music venues. It's just all in all an awesome town. But it's really interesting to see, having moved here from Buffalo, kind of latched onto the locals a little bit to get that local experience. People that grew up here are just like a different breed of like this like happy, loving, caring. I don't know. There's like a weird aura about folks from Ann Arbor that I just love. Old hippie town kind of vibe, but also still like super educated and like it's great. But it's cool to see like the U of M college experience and the student experience, and then the local experience and how they kind of like intersect. Like they are, like two downtowns, if you will, but they're like, a few blocks from each other that everyone crosses both ways. But you get your old Ann Arbor hippies that are like, can't wait till the students are gone in the summer so we can have our town back. And then you also get the people, the business owners like me that want to pull from both demographics. The town is consists of both populations, and that's what we try to do at the restaurant, is kind of cater to both demographics. Literally at the restaurant, one side of the street is like young professional families, and then the other side is like college athletes and students and stuff. So we've had a really fun time kind of finding our image in the community, and definitely trying to get a little more student presence. Obviously campus is pretty large and we're a little far away from campus, walking distance, but I think a lot of the student population is pushing down Packard a little bit, which is awesome for us. But yeah, we're just trying to grow and continue to become like we want to become like an iconic staple in Ann Arbor. Everyone comes to visit their kids and they go to Zingerman's and Blimpie Burger, and like Frida's now on that list, and all these like places that are like musts. And hopefully, I mean, we're almost at 4 years, one full turn of a college career. Hopefully Side Biscuit is soon to be that recommended spot as well.
Yeah, I see that future for Side Biscuit 10,000%. I have anybody that comes to visit, I'm like, okay, this is where we have to go. Like, this is seriously like one of the people asking for food recs, and Side Biscuit is always at the top of that list. So like, I do genuinely see it as like a modern Ann Arbor staple, and I think it will continue to be one of those spots.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm curious, what is your favorite wing to eat? Like, of just the stuff that you make, what's your favorite? And then if it's on the menu, great. If it's not on the menu, though, like, what's your favorite wing that like you sell?
So whenever I'm like, craving a wing or a snack at the restaurant, it's always OG Buffalo. I think if you're born in Buffalo, you have like a certain percentage of that, like in your blood is like Frank's Red Hot and butter. It's just part of the culture there. So just like the smell of it and like the I don't know, everything about that is just like home and memories. So definitely the OG Buffalo for me. It's like a nice medium level of heat, good acidity, nice and creamy with the butter. But close second would probably either have to be Gucci Gang. That's one that I've been doing for a while. Or one of my favorites that we can't execute too often at the restaurant because we don't have an actual stove. Is that fish sauce caramel wing I was telling you about from the Puck that I staged at in New York City with the Michelin star. It's you reduce this sugary, garlicky fish sauce caramel down to order, and then toss it on these lightly dredged wings, topped with like fried garlic, mint, and cilantro, a little lime wedge. That's one of my most craved ones. The wings are actually marinated in that fish sauce marinade overnight too, so they're almost like cured, if you will, a little bit. That's probably my second most craveable one.
No way. Have those ever been on the menu as just like a pop-up item?
Yeah, so we've done them a handful of times. We did a month-long pop-up in Detroit at this bar called Frame in Hazel Park. We did it there. We did it at the Dixboro House when we did a dinner there. It's more like special event based when we can pull it off. But I actually worked with a engineering class to work on a way to make it over at U of M. My friend Laura Hirschfield, who's a big regular, she always puts us in her projects for her students, and we worked on a couple ways to stabilize the caramel using different sugars and methods. So hopefully soon it'll be on the menu.
That's so cool. That's so fun to like get to collaborate with just like an engineering class.
Yeah.
Same question but a different food. What's your favorite biscuit that you've ever done?
Ooh, so we try not to repeat ourselves. We're at almost 3 years of opening, so that's like around 150 or so different biscuits in the ballpark that we've done. But we'll revisit like some seasonal flavors and stuff, maybe with like a little twist. But favorite one to date, I'm trying to think. That's probably the one that we enjoy the most. I think is the most unique to the restaurant and U of M and the Ann Arbor experience, and like the most requested would probably be the Maize and Blue biscuit. So when it's corn season, we use Michigan sweet corn straight off the cob, roast that, put it in the biscuit mix with cornmeal, and local blueberries are usually tail end of their season too. So it's blueberries and corn together. We usually do like a honey butter or something on the side. So that's a really fun biscuit, maize and blue.
That's incredible. I have to get this at some point. I know you don't repeat, but if you bring that one back, I will be first in line. That sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah. I'm also just curious, menu item wise, one of the times I went, I saw there's a peanut butter miso cookie on the menu, and I was just like, didn't really know what to expect, but like, that was an absolute delight. It was so like crispy, but also so soft at the same time, and like a really, really great flavor. Was that like an invention of yours? Like, how did those flavor combination come together?
So that was actually a driveway original. We used to run
Oh,
those out of the house. And then I think I had them on the menu at Homes as well, a variation of that. But I always love playing with sweet and savory, kind of mixing them together a little bit. One of my favorite pastry chefs, Christina Tosi from Milk Bar.
yes. Love Toasty.
She rides that line a lot too. She incorporates like a little bit of more of the salty components into her sweets, which I love. So this was actually one of those New York Times cookie of the month or cookie of the week recipes that we tweaked. Was the peanut butter miso cookie, and we did a lot of like R&D on it, kind of changed it up, make house made peanut butter for it, and then shiro miso to get that kind of salty component. But yeah, it's been a fun one. We make like a large batch of cookie dough for the freezer, and then just once we're through that batch, we'll like turn into a different cookie. So we've done like brown butter chocolate chip with Malden sea salt. We actually did a Toasty kind of modeled cookie before this. She calls hers a compost cookie. It's like a kitchen sink. It's got everything in it.
Yes. Yeah.
We call ours the garbage cookie. Same idea. It had like coffee, graham crackers, pretzels, potato chips, butterscotch chips, chocolate chips. We added a little bit of like sesame to ours. So yeah, we have fun with it, and it's kind of nice to have a creative dessert on the menu. It's a lot of fun.
That is so much fun. It's so cool that because Toasty is like one of my biggest like baking inspirations as well. Like growing up, I was always big like baking in the kitchen, and like her books are definitely the one that have the most wear and tear, the most like grease stains, anything else in between. So it's really cool to see that that's an inspiration in the business, and I see that so much in those cookies.
She's awesome.
She's amazing. Have you tried her? I know she has a Ritz cracker cookie. Have you ever considered that one for
That
rotation?
might have to be a fun rotation. Yeah, I've had it at the spot, but I've never made a recipe of it. I gotta look up in the cookbook.
Yeah. I'm curious, kind of last question on like the side biscuit side of everything. What has been your proudest moment just as a chef in the kitchen? And then your proudest moment with this business?
Proudest moment for the business would probably be opening day. All the build up in my career, being, working up through the ranks, different titles from like starting as a dishwasher or a prep cook to, moving on to the line to then sous chef, executive chef, running my own food programs at places. That whole journey, always kind of like working under somebody or for somebody, obviously being compensated for your work, but not having the full like financial reward. I've always had the passion in it, but not the financial reward side. But also with that comes risk. But unlocking the door, welcoming guests into a space that I created from the ground up, recipes, design work, workspace flow, like every nook and cranny of that building that I poured, it was like a year since the idea came to be that we opened the doors, but a solid like 6 months of once we found the space, got the keys, got the place ready to go. We sabered a bottle of champagne in front of, I think there was like probably like 40 people or so waiting for opening day, line down the block. Internet went out. We just had to put it back on. It was great. But watching that champagne cork fly off with this like line of people eager and waiting to come to the restaurant for the first time, that was probably the proudest moment, just seeing the appreciation full circle of what I created. And then every day just having regulars and customers come in like yourself that enjoy the food, appreciate the food. It's been a very proud journey. It's been awesome. But proudest kitchen moment would probably be we somehow managed to do 3,000 wings in 4 hours during the Super Bowl.
No way.
Last year it was we have two deep fryers. They're both pretty tiny. We did pizza. I think we did like 25 pizzas that day too. But 270 square feet, 5 bodies, working as fast as possible, cranking out food. Yeah, I don't know how we did it, but that was probably the proudest moment in the kitchen.
That's amazing. I can only imagine too, like the relief of when you close down that day. Like, wow, that's remarkable. Are you already gearing up for like Super Bowl this year and like some of those big like Michigan OSU big days like that?
Yeah, hopefully it's the Bills versus the Lions. That's what we're hoping for.
We'll manifest it. We got this. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. Actually, I'm curious. One other thing is like, where do you see Side Biscuit going forward in the future?
So I love our current location. I want to always keep that kind of as like a flagship. We're definitely at our capacity in terms of growth. We'll eventually need a bigger kitchen offsite somewhere, maybe a commissary. I'd love to have a sports bar, in town to kind of like, because we don't really have dining. We have a couple picnic tables and chairs out front, but I'd love to be able to get the food quicker to the guests than carry out, watching sports, cold beer, kind of that whole experience. I actually already have a name for the bar because we have I sponsor a beer league hockey team that I'm on.
Oh, wow.
We're called the Spicy Boys, which is funny because it was the Spicy Boys long before Side Biscuit existed. And now it just makes sense because we make hot wings.
That just makes so much sense.
But SB to the fourth, Side Biscuit, Spicy Boys Sports Bar.
Yeah. I love that idea.
But no, yeah, we've had some opportunities to maybe move to Detroit, a secondary location, maybe one in Ypsi, near Eastern, my alma mater. But for now, we just want to continue growing as much as we can in our current space. Pay off my investors and then look at the next steps.
That's amazing. I am so excited for the future. And SB to the third, I'll be first in line. That sounds so much fun. Now, switching into the questions that I love to ask everybody on this show, what has been the most impactful piece of advice that somebody gave to you?
Probably, I think I got two. I can't remember where this came from, but it's re-referenced in Letterkenny, which is one of my favorite shows. But if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I've always taken that approach towards my work. Just be passionate about it, enjoy it. If you don't like it, find something different, find a different station in the kitchen or a different role in the restaurant or a different career path. Work is supposed to be something you enjoy. And, I used to pride myself on 100-hour weeks because I just loved it so much. Like I would work a full morning sous chef job and then go right into my night executive chef job, and just like grinning from ear to ear during the whole thing. Like you got to be passionate and enjoy your work. And it really shows from whatever industry or line of work you're in. Customer facing, people feel that passion and energy through your work. That or at Zingerman's, a lot of times I did a lot of like leadership management development and stuff there and learned a ton about business. And one of the things that Ari always kind of told me is like, dress for the job you want, or act like the role you wish to be in. So I've always taken that in my career where like I want to own a restaurant someday. I want to be an entrepreneur, a business owner. So getting in close with other business owners or the ones that you work under, and treating the business that you're within as if it is your own, I think is one of the biggest tools that kind of led me to this current space here.
Totally. I love both those pieces of advice. I think that having your sights set on your goals and doing even just little things in order to get you more set up for that point is a really good thing to do and applies to so many different situations.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, what would you say is an ultimate tip for somebody going into college?
So, you go into college right after high school, you're still young, you're looking forward to that, like independence, being on your own, out of the house, the college fun. But I think, hindsight, I think the biggest thing is like, you only have those 4 years concentrated to really, develop and grow and experience and learn before you jump into like the full-fledged workforce. It's like your gap years, your buffer years where, you're still within the school system, but, I think it's important to just soak it all up and do it with like passion and care. So, get your money's worth, join the clubs, play sports, do IM sports, meet people, you're paying to go to school, get that full experience. But I think do so, work hard, study, but also reward yourself too. I think it's a beautiful time. Colleges, I know admission rates nationally are starting to dwindle a little bit, but I think it's a very important growing period for people. And I think just go all in on the college experience. I think that's my biggest tip, is just to dedicate and be passionate about it.
I completely agree. I think you're right that it's this big monumental thing, and it's a big financial cost generally. So going all in and kind of jumping into it that way, I think is exactly how you need to do it. Now, I'm curious when it comes to expectations. One, what was your expectations when you were going to college? How did that kind of shake out? Two, same question, but for when you were developing Side Biscuit for the first time.
Definitely. For college, I mean, in high school, I was like a four-sport athlete, 4-point student, National Honor Society, all that. So I was like, oh, college will be a breeze, like, academics, whatever, in the bag. But I think with that extra independence, it's a little trickier. You're less regimented, a little stricter schedule. You got a little more freedom. So I think the big wake-up call in reality was like, it's not all fun and games. You got to work hard to be able to play hard. And I think that independence can be like daunting, and it's like a reality check of not having those bounds, your parents or your curfew or your, strict. You don't have to go to class, even if you're paying for it. You don't have to go. Like, you're not going to get kicked out of school. They'll take your money. So yeah, it was a great learning experience. I grew a lot, but it was definitely a little more difficult than I guess I painted the picture. In terms of Side Biscuit, definitely one of the hardest challenges in my work career, maybe even life career. Putting all this like risk on the line of, putting yourself out there and trying to think through everything and make sure, your first introduction to being a business owner in the community and your customer base is done thoughtfully and right. And yeah, owning a business is very difficult, especially food service, like inflation, rising food costs, staffing has been difficult, especially in the college town. You get full-time availability in the summer for the kids to stick around, and then come fall, they can only work one day a week or a couple hours a week. So staffing has always been difficult, but also like the livelihood of your staff, making sure your staff is having a good work-life balance and getting paid well, compensated well, making sure you have a good workplace culture, that everyone's communicating and happy and enjoying their work, and making sure you're putting out a good product. There's so many things that go into owning a business. There's always a fire to be put out. Internet's broken on day one. Oven went down. Fryer went down. Wings are 9 times the cost they used to be. Fryer oil is still 500% more than it was. So there's always something. But I think the expectations were there. I knew it would be daunting and difficult to open the restaurant. But I think the hardest thing was just that sole risk, because if the business fails, everything you put on the line kind of comes along with it. So when you're not working under someone else, if you're the sole proprietor or the owner, the stakes are obviously much higher. So that's been tough to get behind, but also very driving in terms of like, it's go time. Like, everything's on the line. So it's been awesome in that way. But I think the biggest like learning curve I had is that nothing's ever perfect. You got to continue to adapt and change and grow. Like, I was almost like not gonna open because like I was like, what about this? We got to fix this. My merch isn't ready. Like, sometimes you gotta just commit and then prepare as much as you can. And there's always going to be a setback or a fire to put out. So being able to roll with the punches and continue to adapt and grow, and strive for that perfection, I think has been a big realization.
Absolutely. I love all of the pieces of advice that you hit. I think one, taking note of the culture and taking care of your staff is so important, especially in a culinary setting, where I feel like there's so many great restaurants that have great cultures, but there's also that reputation that like, that work can be tough. And there are certain restaurants where it's not as supported, but it's so great to see when people are going into it with that mentality and with that acknowledgement that like, I want to make this a fun space to work at and a great space for people. And I like, talking about dealing with the perfectionism and dealing with those kinds of things of like, or just wanting things to be perfect. I relate to that a lot. But one of my favorite quotes is to err on the side of action, not perfection. Like, obviously try and go as great as you can before you start, so like everything's taken care of, but then keep striving for that perfection, because yeah, it's never fully gonna hit it, and that's a tough pill to swallow, but also kind of a freeing one.
Definitely. Yeah. At the end of our shifts, this is something I learned at Zingerman's, just to keep our like communication open with the staff. We're like a very open thing. We do a post shift, like kind of like feedback called liked best next time. So like, what went well? What'd you like about your shift? What'd you like about your neighboring, coworkers' performance, or, what have you? And then next time, like, how can we improve? And this is like a nice open floor for everyone to be able to safely, without any criticism, be able to talk
openly about everyone's performance, even mine, like call me out like, yo, chef, you were a little flustered today or whatever. Like your vibrational energy made us flustered. So it's great to have that open dialogue. We do it every shift, have since we opened. So it's been awesome to kind of like tighten up our culture, like, and have everyone have a voice.
Yeah, there's so much value in just taking a little moment to debrief, to go over everything, because then you can, yeah, constantly be innovating and making the small improvements, which in the end are really, really big strides towards getting closer to that perfect model. Yeah, I love that. Pivoting gears completely, what is an essential item in a dorm room that you would suggest college students have?
So for some reason I went straight to food and I thought instant ramen
Yeah.
was the lifesaver for me. But it's actually, I got a funny story on that real quick. So at Kalamazoo College I was in the dorms, and I actually we had like a little kitchenette in the hall, and I fell asleep while cooking my instant ramen, and it actually boiled over, set off the fire alarm in the middle of the winter with like 7 inches of snow, and the whole dorm had to get sent outside, and fire truck had to come in. I mean, nobody got hurt or anything, but just the fact that it was like 3 in the morning and I'm cooking ramen, and I forced everyone to wake up in the middle of the night and go outside. Yeah, ramen definitely a college essential for me, but make sure you don't fall asleep while you're cooking it.
Ramen and a cup of coffee at the same time. Yeah,
There it
that's
is. But I had redemption. I was asked to cook at a ramen battle in 2016 at Slurping Turtle, and I thought my bad press. There's actually a Facebook group out that said I can't cook ramen, so I redeemed myself. I got third place in the ramen battle. So
there you go. You absolutely can't cook ramen. That's hilarious, though, that you had a Facebook group trying to tear you down for cooking ramen.
Yep, exactly.
It was all those kids from Kalamazoo College that were woken up at 3 a.m. and have a vengeance.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's a moment from high school that you still think about?
Probably we took our hockey team to regionals for the first time, and the heartbreak of loss during regionals, I think, still haunts me to this day. But yeah, my buddy just got married last week and reminded me of that experience when I defensively pinched at the blue line and let the other team score in the last minutes. I still think about that. But
Wow.
it drives me to, not make mistakes like that in the future.
Yeah, it keeps the energy of the Spicy Boys alive, right? Like
Exactly.
you can continue that passion.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah. What song would you add to a school survival playlist?
Ooh, school survival. Trying to think of my college experience. I mean, we did a lot of early 2000s hip hop during school. I remember my dorm room faced the diag, and I had like aggressively loud speakers. So we would like turn the speakers facing out while we walked to the cafeteria. We would just blare like Lil Jon and Ludacris and all sorts of 2000s hip hop. That was our pump up music for getting studying done and getting the college experience going. A lot
Yeah.
of 2000s hip hop.
Yeah. Any one song of that 2000 hip hop come to mind, or is it just the whole genre?
Ludacris, Go to Sleep.
Okay.
Yep.
I like it. Just don't play that when cooking ramen, but any other time.
Exactly.
It's great.
Maybe that's why I fell asleep.
Yeah. Final question in the interview. It's been such a joy to chat. What would you tell your freshman self in college, and then what would you tell the version of you just starting Side Biscuit?
So freshman self in college, I'd probably tell myself maybe a little less leisure and a little more studying, and then to maybe get a job during school sooner than sophomore year, and to, make more money to help pay student loans. So freshman year, I had the full ride, so I didn't think I needed to work because I wasn't paying for school. So I think with my downtime that wasn't spent studying, going to see friends at Western next door, or, a little too much leisure to keep up the full ride. So definitely committing to the books and earning that degree, especially if it's given to you at a lesser cost. I think I would tell my freshman self. And then for Side Biscuit, I'd probably echo what I was talking about earlier, that, it'll never be perfect. The quote you just said was actually hit the nail on the head for that, is, just take the jump, take the action, and then continue to improve and adapt as you go. Having that like mental block and stress of like, you're always trying to get above water or get there. I think it's important to take a step back and live in the moment for a second and realize is and, look back and reward yourself for all the accomplishments thus far. But continue to grow. Like, perfection is always at the end of the stick. That's always what we're going for. And if you're in this work and you're passionate, you're already going to be perceived as very close to that. But internally, you're never going to think you're there, and you never will be. A painting's never done, is what they say. But yeah, rewarding yourself, enjoying the ride, taking a second. And I think the biggest thing is that it's a marathon, not a sprint. Especially with food service, it's always like very quick decision making, putting out fires like on the fly. Like, we live in this like chaotic, everything's got to be done as fast as possible, as perfect as possible. But I think that can put a lot of stress and weight on yourself. So being able to like step aside for a second, enjoy the ride, reward yourself, I think is really important. And I think my biggest thing with the business is probably learning how to say no sometimes. So I'll say yes to every catering inquiry, every special request, or opportunity to do a pop-up or an event. I just wanted to continue to grow and build the brand and get myself out there, but sometimes it comes at a cost where you're spreading yourself too thin, and then you're not managing yourself well, which then you're not managing the business well, then you're not managing your staff well. So having a little space to say no and work on that work-life balance, I think is crucial, especially in the entrepreneurial sense.
It completely is crucial. I think it's one of the hardest bits, especially when you're starting something new or starting a new business like that, not to just take every opportunity, take all of that. But I think it is important to be thoughtful about what opportunities there are there. But yeah, especially when you're starting out. I mean, I feel like even as a college student as well, I feel like that comes up so much of like that first freshman year, those first month is like, everyone's like just jump in and do everything. But I think it's important to really carry that balance and to carry at least a tinge of kind of thoughtfulness in those decisions.
Exactly. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you have to or should, or it'll be well received. Like, I think a couple Saturdays ago, we catered breakfast before a tailgate, before the game, catered lunch after the tailgate. This is like for like 115 people. Wow. Went back to the restaurant, had a very busy post-game dinner rush, and then did late night wings and pizza catering for a wedding at like 11 p.m. It was like, you don't have to do all that stuff in one day. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, it's not, in those days are a whole other gambit. I've never done anything to that level, but I remember those days where it's like you're rushing from bit to bit, doing all the different activities, and it's wild. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been so great to talk. Final question is just, what do you have to plug? What do you want to send the people to? All the socials, all the locations, everything.
Show some love to my pumpkin picture I worked hard on this week that the Instagram algorithm isn't showing love to. Side Biscuit _ follow us. Every week we do a different wing, different biscuits, always a fun theme. Be sure to check us out Wednesday through Sunday. We do lunch on Fridays, pizza only on Sundays. Well, pizza and wings, but check out our pizza for sure. If you like spicy stuff or watching people eat spicy stuff, we're doing a hot ones Sunday the 29th. The event is from 5 to 8. Wing eating challenge is at 6:30. We're gonna have a DJ, giveaways, really spicy sauces. But yeah, just be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And all that stuff, listener, will be linked in the description of this episode too, so you can just find it right through there. But go check out all of the cool stuff Side Biscuit is doing. If you're ever in Ann Arbor, go, please. Like, I fully encourage you to go to Side Biscuit and check it out. It's such a fun spot.
Chicken wings and biscuits. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, thank you again for listening to another episode of the Student Council. My name is Carter Dvorak. That has been Jordan Balduf. Jordan, do you have any other parting words before we head out of here?
Enjoy college while you got it.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you. If you want to find us, our Instagram is StucoPod, our email is stucopod@gmail.com. Wishing you the best of luck and the best of times in all of your educational endeavors. The Student Council is adjourned.